Hello, my name is Kurz. I'm a member of the Esperanto Association Federation of New South Wales. During the next 20 minutes I will present Esperanto to you. So I will speak about a couple of facts of Esperanto. I will explain you a little bit about history, speak about the advantages and disadvantages Esperanto has like other languages. I will give you a quick Esperanto lesson, the fastest Esperanto lesson in the world, the fastest language lesson. I tell you how you can use it personally and how to start. So now first, who of you have heard the word Esperanto before?
Yes.
Okay, I hear no one snipping. So Esperanto is spoken in over 100 countries. There are about 1,000 native speakers and about 1 million people who are second language speakers, like I am. So I learned Esperanto during my university time. I went to an adult education center to learn it there, and Martin also learned it in a similar way. There's a couple of famous people who speak Esperanto, including 6 Nobel Prize winners. So if you want to get the Nobel Prize, yeah, it's like a small country, like 1 million people. So when you look up Wikipedia, there's our own Esperanto version of Wikipedia, which has 250,000 articles, which is not as many as English language articles in Wikipedia. However, more than, for example, the Greek language. So yeah, a couple of famous people speak Esperanto, including the former manufacturing minister and attorney general of Australia. So yeah, history of Esperanto. So it was published 1887 by Ludwig Zamenhof, so a person in eastern Poland who had the idea of creating a language which is very easy to learn, so that all mankind could speak the same language, which is obviously often a problem that people don't speak the same language. So the amazing thing was when in 1905, so basically the language started with one speaker. In 1905, there was the first Esperanto World Conference in Boulogne-sur-Mer, so in northern France, and you can actually see a picture of the first Esperanto conference. So the number of speakers already has risen, and however there were tough times for Esperanto as well. Fascist countries, non-democratic countries, our leaders often don't like it. During Stalin time, a lot of Esperanto speakers were ending up in work camps or were killed. Because some nationalists actually don't like that you can actually speak on the same level with everyone. It's like Rotary. Yeah? When you meet someone from a Rotary club in Togo or in Kenya, that's just a good friend, yes. You're on same levels, same with Esperanto. So yeah, we get some couple of acknowledgements like UNESCO. Wikipedia started very successfully with Esperanto. In 2006, actually was the first Esperanto city being officially created. So a city of a similar size as Singleton actually decided to become bilingual in Germany, so all the signage is bilingual. And this city now has, which was not so much in this focus of terrorism or whatever, now has, every day you see people from Korea or Japan walking around, Esperanto speakers who want to see the Esperanto city in Germany. And just looking a little bit ahead, in about 5 months from now, the next Esperanto World Conference will take place in Canada. So now, yeah, advantages and disadvantages of Esperanto. The big problem is, now when you say, whatever fantastic advantages a language has, of course you want the language because you want to communicate. Now, there is often this joke, I hear it so many times, yeah, where do you find the next Esperanto speaker? Yeah, it's hopeless. When you get lost somewhere in the bush, you don't speak the local language and your car is broken down and you speak Esperanto, most likely it's not helping you much. So you have to move in the network, but I think same as members of Rotary, yeah? When you are in a different country, maybe you look where's the next Rotary club and you find friends there. Similar way Esperanto works. There is a little advantage compared to Rotary, sorry to say this. When you, I was meeting an Esperanto friend in Argentina from Rotary. I gave her a speech there, and but there the problem was I didn't speak Spanish, and they didn't speak other languages. Esperanto as a worldwide network, by definition, has a common language, so there are no communication problems. So there's even a booklet which is now online, which actually shows where hosts all over the world. So Esperanto speakers actually host each other, which is a fantastic thing. I personally have been to 35 countries. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was staying with people in South Korea or in Uruguay. It's amazing. So yeah, it's a small community, which however has a strong cohesion. That's the advantage of being a small community. When I'm meeting an Esperanto speaker somewhere in China, and we're both speaking the same language, it's immediately very, very close contact. So, but now I speak about the 7 advantages of Esperanto. So first of all, it's a blank language. So someone was sitting down and tried to construct a language for lazy people. Yeah. Yeah. So it can be learned about 5 to 10 times faster than other languages. And I have seen people who started Esperanto just weeks before, and we already could communicate pretty nicely. So this is why I will present you the fastest language course in the world, Esperanto, in 2 minutes. So the grammar has 16 rules, but no exception. So when you know the 16 rules, actually already when you know 8 rules, you're good in communicating. So when you know the rules, that's it. So for example, there are no irregular verbs, no irregular tenses, like in other languages you have to learn big tables. With French, actually, each French person has a little booklet at home about irregular verbs. So even the native speakers are struggling with that. So yeah. The words in infinitive is always finishing with an I. So, Twinkie means to drink. So he drinks, they drink, he drinks. So in English it's not regular. So in Esperanto, completely regular. And these are already all the tenses you have. So when I was learning English at school, because I'm a German, after 1 year, actually we moved from present tense to past tense. After 1 year, in Esperanto, you just have to learn this couple of endings, and you automatically have all the tenses. So also the verbs are regular. So drink, drinks, and these things you don't have to deal with that. So verb in present tense always ending with us. That's it. So manjas means to eat, drinkas means to drink, and so on. So, but also besides of being very fast to learn because of being very regular, it's also more logic. And it's more logic than German and more logic than English. So I give you one example of the word spring. At least I know 4 different meanings of the word spring, which can lead to misunderstandings. So, printempo is a season, fontano is a place where water comes from, salto is the act of getting up into the air, and risorto is a metal spiral. So all the spring in Esperanto you get a specific word. So ambiguities. I think lawyers might like it because there you have to really make sure that things are not ambiguous.
That top one there looks like it's stolen from the French because printemps, P-R-I-N-T-M-P-E is French for spring.
Yeah, absolutely. And fountain,
Yeah.
fontano, and also we hear that in French. Salto.
It's used in gymnastics.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, so that's and I come back about how you actually learn the word, because here already, thanks for this explanation of all the words. By the way, if you have questions, everyone who asks a question gets a little present. So, okay, if you want to learn German, you have to know about 8,000 words to be a reasonably good speaker. In English, actually 10,000 words, which is due to the fact that English is both a Germanic language and a Latin language. So you have a lot of words double. In Esperanto, 2,000 words. As I told you, a language for lazy people. And now you might think, okay, but yeah, it's just a reduced language, you can't say much. No, actually, it's more precise. And I give you one example. So I take the word chevallo. Now you have maybe never heard a word sounding like chevallo.
Cheval.
Cheval. French word. Or in English you have cavalry. Cavalry also comes from this word. So means horse. Yeah. So just by adding some little particles, you can modify the meaning in an extremely precise and systematic way. So if you add the particle in, it becomes female. So chevalino is a female horse. Now for the experts here, a mare. Id makes it an offspring. So chevalido, the child of a horse. Now, I'm not a native speaker in English, but my experts told me it's a fowl. Okay, now I can actually do a combination. Chevalino, so that's an offspring and female, a filly. Who did know this word? Yeah. Okay. So et means it's small, like a pony, or you can actually give it ach, gives a thing a bad physical quality. So chevalaccio would be a croc. Yeah. If you actually have a syllable phi, it gives it a bad moral character. Not a croc, but a horse who simply doesn't like you and brothers. So, and what I just explained to you, and this is some word stock which is already challenging for native speakers. Porco means pig. So I can do the same thing with pigs. Hundo means dog, could do the same thing. Homo means person, I could do the same thing as well. So very, very easy to actually have a very differentiated language. So, and you actually, maybe just mentioning on the words, just coming back, the words were the most common words of European languages. That's why, as an English speaker who doesn't speak any other language, you would already recognize about 70% of a word. If you're a French speaker, you would already recognize about 85% of the words. If you're a Russian speaker, 40%. Because even in Russian language, you have a word like cavalry. I asked a friend from Japan, what percentage of words do you know? If you only speak Japanese, not our language, and he said even 10%. So like a word like pano, in Esperanto means bread. Pan in Japanese is bread, because the Portuguese actually brought this word 400 years ago to Japanese.
The one on the bottom there doesn't take into account slang. For example, a croc horse is called a dogger, because what they do is they chop its head off and make dog food out of it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Like you've got this tremendous system there.
Yes.
But then you get this other.
So basically, you have different ways to say chevalaccio. Not only one word. You can say croc or dogger would be the same meaning. Is it right? Pretty much. A dogger or a croc is pretty much the same doesn't mean the same. Is this what you're?
It's only slang a little bit different.
It's just slang.
Yeah, but anyway, so it's the first question. So
Graham is stepping outside
this
his
is a
bounds of
DVD
expertness.
which I produced some years ago with Esperanto short movies.
Sorry, can I just ask you about the Russian? How do you go
You also
with
want the
spelling?
DVD, yes?
It's a
That's the Russian version.
a completely different alphabet, the
Yes.
Russian alphabet. So how does that equate?
Yeah. So Esperanto, I will show you the alphabet
Okay.
in 2 minutes. It's based on the Latin alphabet. So I will show you about this. Having said so, the founder Zamenhof, he was actually living in a part of Poland, which at that time was part of the Russian Empire. So actually, the official language was using the Cyrillic alphabet, but he decided to use the Latin alphabet with some modifications to get some extra sounds out of it. So, but I will come back in a moment about this. So yeah, the words are relatively easy to learn because a lot of the words you will already recognize. So you can actually create beautiful words by having some combinations. And we had this already, this beautiful word, which I'm about to forget, filly or croc. So, for example, Chirkau Laguloi are people who happen to be around the lake. So you can express this concept in English as well, but you need half of a sentence. In Esperanto, one word. Or in an Esperanto song, I heard, Vi estas nur ainulino, you are only a ainulino. So there, the ul means person. Ul means person. In a female person. O, it's a noun. So it could be ainulina would be adjective. Ainulina would be adverbial, but it's a noun. Always O, always noun. Ein means any. So you're just an any person, female. So you have a lot of words.
And now he's got a new nickname for me.
Yes.
So coming back to your question about croc and other words to express the same thing in Esperanto, by combining of the syllables, you have actually different ways to express to your wife what to think about her. So yeah, I was in Japan, and there was an Esperanto speaker who created their own type of Japanese massage, and he actually invited other Esperanto speakers from this profession to teach his technique, and he has a Japanese word for it, and he was struggling to translate it to our language, but with Esperanto, very easy. He called it di ina masajo. So di ina is the adjective, masajo means massage, the adjective di ina. Di means God. You have this word diasos, I think. Yeah, so di is the God, in, female. So God, female form of God is goddess. Adjective. Goddessly. I'm not sure if that exists. Goddessly. Godly, yes, goddessly. Yeah, but Esperanto, no problem, you can create.
In the manner of a female goddess.
Yeah. So yeah, you might say in the style of a goddess or something like this. So, your question about the alphabet. So, the Esperanto aims to have a simple pronunciation so people can learn it quickly. It turns out the whole mankind doesn't have many sounds in common. So apparently the only sound which is in common to all languages is mm. That's the only sound which you find in all the languages. So creating a language just consisting of n is a little bit limited. So in Esperanto there are 28 sounds. Most sounds are very easy for Germans or new speakers. So this is the alphabet. A couple of sounds, a little bit Slavic, so Eastern European, because of the heritage of Zamenhof. but yeah, this would be the sound. I think the only sound difficult for an English speaker would be that one here, which is always difficult in different languages. So that's the R, but it's a rolling R. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but other people have other challenges, like this one is the sh. And people from Denmark don't have sh sound. Can you imagine that? Yeah. So they are struggling with that one here. So the interesting thing is each sound, each letter has its own sound, and that's it. So like in English you have SH to create a new sound. No, in Esperanto you have our own letter for this. So or this is ch, or this is w, like window. This is do you have in English?
Loch. Loch Ness.
Loch. Okay, yeah. So yeah, and this is like an Android alphabet, if you want to type it on the smartphone. So yeah, but the alphabet is based on, as you see, on the Latin alphabet, not on the Cyrillic or on the Hindi or on hiragana, Japanese or something like this. So yeah, now I spoke about the 7 advantages of Esperanto. One advantage is simply it's neutral. So like I speak Esperanto, Martin speaks Esperanto. When we speak together in German, Martin has a hard time. For me it's very easy. When we speak together in English, it's easy for Martin, but I have to work harder, yeah, because it's not my native language. When we speak Esperanto, everyone comes, meets in the middle, so to say. So it's a neutral ground. So it's a great language for international meetings and so on. Did you know that the Baltic republics, we were all part of the Soviet Union, when they have meetings, they could easily speak Russian as their common language, and people know Russian, but we don't want Russian, so yeah, we choose actually English. Even though, because for them Russian is not a neutral language. So Esperanto being a nice neutral language.
Does everyone that speaks Esperanto speak another language?
Yes. Yeah. So as I said, there are about 1,000 native speakers. 6 months ago, I was visiting a couple in Paris. I was a guest, Esperanto speakers. He is from Denmark. She is from France. They have 2 children. And these 2 children, they met at an Esperanto event. So at home, we always spoke Esperanto. And the children at home speak Esperanto. At school, they speak French. And every Saturday, they go in Paris to a Danish class to also learn Danish. So they are raised in these 3 languages. And I was there, and the children 3 and 7 years old. And when I was there, completely naturally speaking with them in Esperanto. I was at one family in Hungary, and a 2-year-old Hungarian girl taught me the word. That was the word kuvo, which, I've been struggling with English, but it's like a bucket, a flat bucket where you wash children.
Wash basin.
Basin, yeah. The bowl, basin, yeah, something like that. Yeah, so yeah. In Esperanto, kuvo, you maybe have a cuvette, something like this is a shape. Yeah. Anyway, so I learned a new. For her, it was very important. I didn't use the word. When I was learning Esperanto, I was not washed anymore by my parents and such a thing. So yeah, so learning a new word from a 2-year-old Hungarian was quite amazing. Here is a little example how it sounds. And Martin, I invite you to read a little bit of this.
En la comenzo, Dio crees la cielon kai la teron. Kai la tero estes sen formo, kai deserta, kai malumo estes super la abismo. Kai la spirito de Dio svebes super la aquo.
Yeah. So, did you recognize this text?
Some of them. I don't know. Is there God in there? Is the terra firma ground?
Sounds like someone deserted in a sort of
You don't recognize it?
motorbike.
At the beginning, God created heaven and earth.
dear.
Terra observe.
Yeah. So I thought this is a text pretty well known all over the world. So yeah,
Working
but
out.
yeah, if you don't want to read the Bible or the Quran, it's available also in Esperanto, or Buddha and so on. You can also have asterisks if you like, or other things. So, yeah, can I travel with Esperanto? Yeah, we're hosts in about 80 countries. There are 200 Esperanto events every year. There are big ones like World Esperanto Conference, which normally has about 2,000 people coming. 15 years ago, the World Esperanto Conference actually was in Adelaide. So it doesn't come often to Australia, but from time to time, that's happening. So the next event, if you're quick learning Esperanto, end of February, go to Kathmandu to the Himalayan Esperanto Congress. So, but if you don't travel, you can use it at home. Yes, there are local clubs in Australia, about 10 local clubs. Like here in New South Wales, there's Redfern, Manly and Gosford Esperanto Club. There's literature. There are over 20,000 books, partly published originally in Esperanto, partly translations. There are different journals. You have radio stations. One radio station is actually from Australia, 3ZZZ. It's a community radio station from Melbourne, broadcasting 1 hour a week in Esperanto on FM and on the internet, which is a little bit more handy. Over 100,000 YouTube videos, and there are apps in Esperanto which could be dictionary or find an Esperanto speaker nearby, Amikumu, which is amazing. So, 2 weeks ago in Sydney, I saw someone, an Esperanto speaker 100 meters away from me. I contacted him and we had coffee.
So is the use of the language growing or declining or level or?
Yeah, in the long term it's growing because 130 years ago I was 1 speaker, now it's 1 million. But there are some regions where it's shrinking and other regions where it's growing. So it used to be actually pretty big in the former Eastern Bloc, because these people were not supposed to, after Stalin was persecuting them, but changed attitude. And people who were international thinking were not encouraged to learn English, so Esperanto was a way for them to have international contacts. That factor has disappeared, so and also sometimes the state was subsidizing it, so that factor went. So there the number was shrinking, but there are other regions where it's growing, like Brazil, moving ahead very nicely. African countries like Benin, Togo, Nigeria, growing nicely. Now there's Esperanto speakers in countries where 20 years ago there was no Esperanto speaker at all, like Mongolia, like Vietnam.
Indonesia.
Yeah. So it's I don't know about Rotary, but yeah, you have some victories and some defeats as well. So Esperanto is there, alive and kicking, but it's mostly in its type of niche. It's basically people who think internationally, people who like languages. At the moment, there are not many people who learn Esperanto because we want to earn more money. And when you look about who is actually learning a language, why do people learn languages? Mostly it's because we have to. Like in Germany, I had to learn English because I couldn't get around English. I had to. If people could voluntarily decide at school if they have to learn a foreign language, I think most people wouldn't do that. Then, or in the profession, the boss, like I speak from my German experience, the boss says either you learn English now or you look for a different job. Yeah. So the number of people who actually learn other languages just voluntarily because we want to contribute to the thing, that's a certain small target group. I think similar with Rotary. Not everyone says why should I service the community? there's other things I can do with my time. So it's a certain target group as well for Esperanto. Yeah. Thanks for the question.
Oh, thank you.
I find it interesting that there's a local club in Redfern, and there's also one in Manly. Now they are entirely different in terms of socio-economic status.
You haven't been to the right parts of Redfern lately.
Yeah. Sometimes it's really funny. Like there's a very strong Esperanto club in Toowoomba. Often it's driven by individual people, and like Adelaide has a strong Esperanto club, Perth doesn't. A little bit of Esperanto, but not very strong. So often it's driven by individual people or not the right people.
You find that it's more popular in more culturally diverse areas?
Yes, in general, yes. Basically in educated countries. So when I'm in third world countries, where the people pretty much struggle for everyday survival, there Esperanto has not a big role. Some exception is Central Africa. There it's quite strong, but normally countries which are economically not so well off, they're not as strong as highly educated countries. I would say the countries with the highest Esperanto speaker density would be Lithuania, I think for some historical reasons. Belgium.
They don't want to speak Russian.
And also because the wife of founder of Esperanto, she originates from Lithuania, maybe. Then the Flemish-speaking part of Belgium has a very high density, but these are people whose language identity is somehow threatened. So because they have to defend against the French. And in Hungary, it's a very specific situation. The Hungarian government says every Hungarian at school should learn a language to a communication level. Now, the Hungarian people are lazy people, like everyone else is lazy. So they say, why learn a complicated language if we can just do a simple language? And so we can get to this level much faster with Esperanto. So in Hungary, the number one foreign language is English. That's cool. Number two is German. Number three is Esperanto. The Russian and the French teachers are pretty pissed, but yeah.
So tell me, I have a daughter that travels a lot.
Yeah.
So for someone like that has been to Brazil and is around Europe and all the rest of it, because there's smatterings of other languages in it,
Yes.
it would help
Yes.
maybe knowing that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then you're getting a bit of everything.
And
Yeah,
for
yeah,
accommodation. I think
Yes.
the passport servo is like couch surfing, but predates it by about 20, 30 years.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, I think I hear two parts in your question. One is, can you travel? Yes. The other thing is, would learning Esperanto help you to learn other languages? The answer is also yes. The thing is, maybe you have often heard, when you learn Latin, that helps you also to learn other languages quicker afterwards. The same applies for Esperanto, because Esperanto is completely logical. It expresses what languages need to express, but not having complicated things really very directly. So when you learn Esperanto, you understand much quicker grammar structures and logic behind it. So it really helps you to learn other languages. The same as Latin. The only thing is, so when you are good in Latin or good in Esperanto, but both helps you to understand other languages. The difference is, however, to be good in Latin, you still have to invest a lot of time. With Esperanto, get it pretty quickly. And thank you for your question.
Straight to the daughter.
Good. So yeah, basically this is a type of culture which is like the culture of a country, let's say with 1 million people. It's not as big as United States or China or Germany, but yeah, so there's a couple of things which has been created by Esperanto speakers. So in summary, I spoke a little bit about facts about of Esperanto. I introduced it to history. I spoke about the disadvantage, namely there are not so many speakers, and the 7 advantages of Esperanto. I gave you the fastest language level ever. I spoke about the personal usage of Esperanto, and now if you get hungry for Esperanto, I tell you how to start. So next steps would be, you can go to esperanto.org.au, which is the webpage of the Australian Esperanto Association. Or in March, in Penrith, there will be the Sydney Language Festival. Esperanto will be presented for the public. There are also online lessons for Esperanto. Maybe you've heard about Duolingo, which is an app to learn foreign languages. There also Esperanto is extremely popular. More than 1 million people have started to learn Esperanto with Duolingo. Not all have finished, but tens of thousands of people have already finished it. And sometimes I come across Esperanto speakers who never spoke with someone in person before because we just learned it online. Yeah. Same would be lerno.net. This one is organized by Esperanto speakers. So you have online lessons, but you are allocated to a tutor. And you can actually choose a tutor in 20 or 30 different languages. So if you want to learn it using German language, you can allocate the tutor maybe from Austria, or if you want to learn in English, maybe a tutor from Australia or from the States. So you have an online course, but also some interaction with someone over distance. Or you have Esperanto clubs like in Manly twice a month, or the Esperanto house in Redfern every Saturday. Just yesterday, that's the first for months, was the Esperanto meeting, or every Wednesday as well.
These festivals in Australia, and host countries, do they also speak the host country language or only Esperanto?
Both, yeah.
Both, yeah. Just
Really?
like if someone was to come along that didn't know Esperanto.
Yeah. So, but sometimes a challenge here. Like when you have 20 people who speak Esperanto and someone comes who doesn't speak Esperanto, then normally someone takes care for a visitor. But also one at the Esperanto house in Redfern and the one in Manly as well. They normally also have a part where we do a language class, and sometimes I teach Esperanto. Like we read Esperanto text together and try to translate it and analyze it. So depends on the program. Each event is different, of course. But normally there is some Esperanto lessons taking place there as well. Yeah. So or if you're in a different country, you can actually look up where you find a beginner's class. So that was my little presentation of Esperanto.
Thank you.